I was just 10 minutes walk from here with my son. And we were going into a news shop. Actually, we're going into a cafe, but we're outside a news shop at the time. And someone came over to me to talk to me. And my son, Gareth, little boy then, big strapping lad now, he went into the news shop. So when this conversation was finished, I went in to say, come on, Gaz, we'll go and get something to eat. And as I looked at him, he's looking at the books. It was like, well, what I would say now, I didn't realize it at the time, was an electromagnetic field suddenly descended around me. And what I heard, this is March 1990, what I heard was go and look at the books on the far side. It wasn't a voice, it was a very strong thought form that went through my mind. Go and look at the books on the far side. And what was happening is that I was feeling this strange atmosphere around me. It's electromagnetic field, I see that now. Mm-hmm. And I felt like my feet were being pulled to the ground like magnets, again, electromagnetism. And so I'm in a daze, and I walk across to the books, and there's only a few books in this news shop. And they were all romantic novels. I knew that shop very well. So I walked across thinking, what do I want to look at these books for? But in among them was a book that stood out because it was so different. It's called Mind to Mind, by what I realized when I turned and read the blurb, was a professional psychic called Betty Shine. So as soon as I saw the word psychic on the blurb, I thought, I wonder if she'd be able to pick up what I've been feeling around me in the last year. Mm-hmm. So I contacted her. I didn't tell her why. She did hands-on healing at the time, and I said, look, I've got arthritis. Maybe hands-on healing will help. But I just went along to see if she'd pick up anything. So I went a couple of times, hands-on healing, very nice, very interesting conversations. And I went the third time, and I'm lying on this medical type bench in her room, her front room. And as she's working on, near my left knee, I felt like a spider's web on my face. And what struck me is I'd read in her book that when other dimensions are trying to lock into you, you can feel like a spider's web on your face. Well, what is that again? It's electromagnetic energy. The same kind of energy that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up when you're in an excited crowd, etc. Anyway, I didn't say anything to Betty Shine because I'm still thinking, I read this in her book. I'm all new to this, you see. And then suddenly she launches her head back and she said, my God, this is powerful. I've got to close my eyes for this one. And then over the next few minutes, she said, I'm being told to tell you this. You're going out on a world stage and you're going to reveal great secrets that basically there is that humanity has to know things that people need to know to understand what's happening in the world. There's a big awakening coming, a big awakening of humanity coming. And that what was one line? One man cannot change the world, but one man can communicate the message that can change the world. And I'm working for the BBC at the time, and I'm a national spokesman for the British Green Party, and I'm being told this. But something inside me said, go with this, go with this. Something felt right about it, even though it was like out there, you would think. So what I was told that day is that I was going to go out on a world stage. I would eventually become world famous, that I would face enormous opposition, but quote, they would always be there to protect me. And that I was going to be led to knowledge, and at other times knowledge would be put into my mind. So I would just know things. And then where did that come from? And all I can say is that from the time I left Betty Shine's house, my life became a synchronistic journey of just that, of information coming to me in the form of personal experience, meeting people in a synchronistic way, coming across documents, coming across books, information from so many different sources that were like giving me pieces in a puzzle, and very much in an order that I could see where they went. And of course, as you go along, it's like literally doing a jigsaw puzzle. the more pieces you put in, the clearer the picture becomes. So you see where the later ones go even quicker. And that's what's been going on now for 30 years. And all I can say is what Betty Shine told me that day, and on the final visit about a week later, has either happened or is in the process of happening. And then I went through 1990. I left my career as a television presenter. I left my career in the Green Party. Well, it wasn't really a career. Then in late 1990, I just got this feeling that I had to go to Peru. I had no reason why I should go to Peru, but I had this overwhelming feeling, this intuition that I needed to go to Peru. So I got on a plane to Peru, not knowing why I was going. It was quite bizarre, really, but there was something that said, go with it, go with it, go with it. And I ended up in Peru, and I went around Peru for 3 weeks, and in February 1991. And I had some amazing experiences. And it culminated on a hill overlooking an ancient Inca site called Siyustani, just not that far from Lake Titicaca, Puno, on the banks of Lake Titicaca. And the guide who was taking me around Peru, he booked us into this hotel in Puno called the Siyustani. I had never heard of it. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know, anything to do with booking the hotel. But I walk in the hotel. It's called the Siyustani after this Inca site, and there's pictures of it all over the hotel. Okay. So I'm looking at one, and I said to him, I've got to go here tomorrow. I just felt it really strong. I got to go here tomorrow. So we went, and it was February, and I had to get a taxi because there was no buses. Well, a taxi. It was like a little taxi bus. And I went with a Peruvian guide, and I went with the driver, and I went to Siyustani, and it was beautiful. And I walked around, and there were the mountains and a lake, and it was lovely. But after I'd walked around for an hour, my urge to go there was not matched by the experience, lovely as it was. So I'm quite disappointed when I go back to the bus, and I said, I will go home now. So they drive out from Siyustani, and I'm just looking out of the window, daydreaming as I am so often. And I'm looking at this hill, and all I can hear in my head as I'm looking at this hill is, come to me, come to me, come to me. Which was extremely strange for someone who was new to all this at the time. So I said, look, can you stop the bus? I need to go up that hill. And I said, I won't only be 15 minutes or so. Well, I was over an hour because of what happened. And I went up to the top of the hill, and I stood there. There was all stones around. And I looked out back across to Siyustani and the distant mountains. And suddenly what happened in the news shop down the road from here happened again, only with massively greater intensity. I was standing there, and I'm under a cloudless Peruvian sky. I've got a red nose to prove it. And what I started to feel was my feet being pulled to the ground again. Mm-hmm. And I felt this energy going through the top of my head, through my feet, and coming through my feet to the top of my head, through the top of my head. And then I heard this strong thought form go through my mind again, which said, they will be talking about this 100 years from now. It will be over when you feel the rain. Now, the last sentence seemed utterly ridiculous because I'm under a cloudless Peruvian sky. And then the energy was building up, and my arms went out like that without me making a conscious decision to do it. And this energy started to get more and more powerful to the point where I'm kind of shaking. And I was going in and out of the conscious mind like you do when you're driving a car and you can't remember the last 2 miles. That was happening all the way through this. Mm-hmm. And at one point where I came back to conscious reality, if you like, with my surroundings, I noticed that over the distant mountains, there was a light gray mist. And I thought, it's raining over that mountain. And it was quite a way away. And it got darker, darker, and it was obviously a serious rainstorm had broken out over the distant mountains. And then as I stood there, and I think it lasted, I don't know, time disappeared, maybe 45 minutes, an hour, maybe this was going on. I watched this storm come from the mountains and across towards me. And, you know, weather people talk about a front, a weather front. Well, this was a straight line. If you'd have put this in a movie, they'd have said, look, come on, man, far-fetched, you can't, they'll never believe that. But it happened. And this wall of stair rod rain started to come towards me. And eventually it hit me. And I was soaked in an instant because it was so intense. And as the rain hit me, this energy stopped. And now my arms had been like that all that time without any distress. Now my shoulders were agony, and my feet, my legs rather, were like Bambi. And something massive had happened, and I didn't know what. And for the next 3 months, I came back to England, and for the next 3 months, you know, if you'd have asked me my name, I'd have had to have checked. It was like so much information, so many concepts, so many insights were pouring into my conscious mind. It was like pressing too many keys on the computer. The computer says, I can't process this, I'm freezing.
Right.
And then after about 3 months, it was like zzz. And I was David again. People were saying to me, I thought you got mad, mate. They told me you got mad, because I went on a TV show and I got massive ridicule. And I went through a period where the level of ridicule of me was historic in its scale and in incessant, daily experience. Oh, that Icke's gone mad. Look at him, he's crazy. But then, and suddenly I was David again. And people were saying, I thought you'd gone mad, mate. I read you'd gone mad. You're the same David I used to know. And I was outwardly. Mm-hmm. But inwardly, everything had changed. And I could see things I didn't see before. And I could see what was going on behind the mirage that we're given to hide what's going on. And then my life just unfolded as this synchronistic adventure, walking into information. And the journey was pretty much as Betty Shine described it, and it continues to this day.